Good evening. My name is Chinaemerem Joseph and I welcome you to today's edition of the program. Not too long ago, You and the Economy brought you some episodes on the interventions of the Central Bank of Nigeria in the healthcare sector. This was to highlight the multifarious nature of the focus of the interventions of the CBN in the economy. Those additions showed that while it is true that the bank's interventions in the economy prioritize the promotion of food security and generating employment opportunities, they also equally focus on transforming the country's healthcare sector through some dedicated schemes. One of such is the Healthcare Sector Intervention Fund, HSIF. Indeed, You and the Economy had showcased the implementation of the CBN's HSIF with focus on why it was introduced, its guidelines and the advances made under its two core components, medical and pharmaceutical. You may remember vividly the stories on how some hospitals and diagnostics centers in the medical arm, as well as some pharmaceutical companies like May and Baker and Fitzin in the pharmaceutical arm of the healthcare sector, have benefited immensely from the HSIF, and how their improved fortunes have registered positive impacts on the state of healthcare delivery in Nigeria. In this first of the two segments of today's edition of You and the Economy, we bring you a story on how yet another pharmaceutical company has been positively impacted by CBN's Healthcare Sector Intervention Fund, HSIF. This is the story of JAWA International Limited, a key player in Nigeria's pharmaceutical sector, which is currently expanding its capacity to enable it boost the availability of antibiotics dry syrups in the country through the loan it assessed under the HSIF. Happy viewing.
According to some specialized publications that are dedicated to reviewing major developments in Nigeria's pharmaceutical industry, JAWA International Limited, producers of the JAWA brand name of pharmaceutical products, is in the top 10 bracket in the ranking of pharmaceutical companies in the country. JAWA International Limited, with its headquarters located at the Isolo Industrial Estate in Lagos, the former federal capital, produces 4 types of formulations. These are liquids, antibiotics dry syrup, ointments and creams, as well as what are referred to as external preparations for ointments and creams. Of all the 4 lines, however, JAWA's line for the production of its antibiotics dry syrups is its most prominent. This is due to the exponential level of the demand for the products of that line. Ironically, whereas demand for its antibiotics dry syrups had always been huge, the capacity of JAWA's line for manufacturing the products was not large enough to produce the quantum that is capable of meeting up with this astronomical demand. To take full advantage of the tremendous demand for its antibiotics dry syrups and thus improve on its market share, JAWA decided to expand its capacity for the production of the formulations. However, in order to fund the proposed huge expansion project, the company needed a stupendous amount of money. But when it reviewed the interest rate regimes associated with loans provided by most deposit money banks in the country, which are reputed to be traditionally high, if not prohibitive, JAWA became stuck and could not pursue the realization of its plant's expansion dream. This was even more problematic because the scope of the expansion project was designed to be quite grand. Although the company worked assiduously on and made encouraging headways to secure the statutory approvals for the building of the proposed new plant and already had the vacant plot of land on which the expansion plant could be built within its headquarters complex, access to finance remained a nagging issue and threatened to scuttle the realization of the plant expansion dream. But JAWA did not rank among the top 10 in Nigeria's pharmaceutical sector for nothing. Consequently, rather than give up on the realization of its plant expansion dream, the company continued to explore all channels of raising funds at concessionary interest rate to expand its dry syrups formulation plant. Thankfully, that was when the CBN was introducing the Healthcare Sector Intervention Fund, HSIF, with an initial impressive chest of 100 billion naira, which the bank would later raise to 200 billion naira. The fund grants loans to successful applicants at single-digit interest rate and also has other appealing conditions which made accessing its loans a very attractive option, guaranteed to engender a win-win experience for both the creditor and the borrower.
That is the time the CBN Intervention Fund came, and it was very, very handy to us. So this is how we got involved, and by God's grace we got the approval from CBN, and then we are able to progress considerably with the project now so far.
The history of intervention schemes in the country shows a disturbing trend whereby many of the audiences being targeted by the initiatives with financial assistance at friendly interest rates often tend to be indifferent to them. This relative disinterest usually stems from the mistaken belief that applicants are required to do more than fulfill the statutory conditions stated in the guidelines of the schemes to succeed with their applications. Other prospective beneficiaries were also usually skeptical of subscribing to the schemes because of the erroneous impression that processing loan applications under them is an unnecessarily cumbersome and tedious exercise laden with visible and unseen landmines that will consume them and perpetuate the failure of the businesses they intend to fund with the loans raised from the schemes. Chief Vagesi says JAWA's experience in processing its loan application under the HSIF debunked those stereotype notions that had stoked age-old skepticism against intervention schemes.
Certain clarification CBN wanted, which we provided for them, and they were satisfied with what we are going to do. And they saw the preliminary works we have done, like the appointment of foreign consultants to do this work, the plans, the NAFDAC consent approval to go ahead with the project, and the Lagos state government approval we have got for this project. All this has helped us to get the application processed fast. We are very, very grateful to CBN, apart from the quickness with which they processed these applications and made it available. That is to be appreciated. And along with that, apart from that also, the duration is a 10-year repayment duration. That has really helped, and it is a single-digit interest. That also has brought down the cost. If you are to go to a commercial bank, we will be paying double of that.
When You and the Economy visited JAWA Pharmaceuticals, work had already begun at the site of the new Antibiotics Dry Syrups formulation plant. Indeed, the structures that will house the new plant were under construction. JAWA officials said projections for the successful completion of the construction phase of the project were on course. We were told that when the construction phase is completed, subsequent phases of the project will commence, and these shall culminate in the installation of the equipment and machinery that will drive operations at the new plant. and this will be followed by its eventual commissioning. But what really are the potential benefits of the JAWA plant expansion project to Nigeria's healthcare delivery system? The Managing Director and CEO of JAWA Group says the completion of the project holds great promise for the uplift of the pharmaceutical arm of Nigeria's healthcare delivery system.
See, what we are planning to do in this new plant, apart from the old formulations we are making some new additional formulations which is not being manufactured in Nigeria at all. On completion, we will be the first one to come out with those formulations, like instance, amoxiclav. Amoxiclav is not formulated in Nigeria till now. So we are the first one who is going to do this amoxiclav dry syrup formulation. Along with that, few other new combinations of dry syrup, antibiotic dry syrup, which we are going to make in this plant. Totally, we will be making about say 10 formulations in this new plant. We have 3 lines to manufacture these dry syrups, and we also provide purified water along with the dry syrup, because when we give the required purified water along with the dry syrup, we are sure of the dosage compliance. Otherwise, in the rural areas, when people take, they may not have good water with them. The water itself will be contaminated one, and again the quantity, exact quantity to be used to make the diluent, that also probably will vary, and it may not give the desired result at the end of the day. When we give this water along with the purified water, purified water along with the dry syrup, you are sure of dosage compliance, and the result is much better.
One thing is certain: the completion of its plant expansion project shall augur well for the bottom line of JAWA. By meeting the staggering demand for its antibiotics dry syrups, JAWA will surely make more profit. But according to Chief Agassi, JAWA will not be the sole beneficiary of its success in accessing funds under the HSIF. He believes Nigeria will also be better off for it.
This intervention, it will certainly help to increase the capacity, local capacity, provide additional employment, it will save foreign exchange of importing the finished formulation, which can be available locally in Nigeria, and also the country will become self-sufficient in many areas of pharmaceutical products requirement. That is one of the greatest things.
You're welcome back. We hope you enjoyed the story of JAWA Pharmaceutical, which was the first of the 2 segments of today's episode of You and the Economy. We now go ahead to the second segment of the program. Although it is not explicitly stated in their respective guidelines, one of the expectations of the Central Bank of Nigeria in granting approvals to applicants who seek to access its intervention schemes is that beneficiaries should be able to impact positively on their host community and the immediate environment in which they conduct their businesses after they stabilize and begin to make profit. The CBN expects the obligatory fulfillment of this gesture, more especially from the medium and big organizations which benefit from its intervention schemes, and particularly those who invest the loan proceeds in business ventures located in rural areas. With the usually low level of socio-economic development in Nigeria's rural communities, the Apex Bank believes that if beneficiaries of its intervention schemes who operate in those traditionally disadvantaged areas are supportive of their host communities, their gestures will indirectly help in promoting the development of Nigeria's rural areas. It is also believed that such measures will make significant contributions towards stemming the tide of rural-urban migration, a major causative factor of the declining performance of Nigeria's agricultural sector, and which in turn places most of the urban centers under avoidable pressures arising from an ever-burgeoning population. There is no doubt that beneficiaries of CBN's intervention schemes in the agribusiness sector are the best positioned to help the bank in promoting rural development. This is because most of them usually site their operations in rural areas where they have access to extensive swathes of land to establish their farms and also set up industries to conduct value addition business with the proceeds of the harvest from their big farms and farms in neighboring communities. You and the Economy has been examining how some agribusinesses which benefited from the CBN's Commercial Agriculture Credit Scheme, CACS, have been using their corporate social responsibility CSR programs as platform to impact their host communities positively and thus help in promoting one of the unwritten objectives of the interventions of the CBN in the economy. Here now is the story of one of such organizations, Sultry International Company Limited, which is into cassava processing and which conducts its operations in a small village in Oyo State.
Sultry International Company Limited first applied for the CBN's Commercial Agriculture Credit Scheme in 2013. Following the successful processing of that request, the company further applied for and accessed loans under the scheme on 2 subsequent occasions. The outcome of the use of the loans it accessed under CACS is this imposing factory complex it now runs in Alaide village, which is located in the Araromi community of the Isenyi local government area in Oyo State. Besides Alaide, the company's location is also near the small town of Adoawaye. Adoawaye is in the same Isenyi local government area, and both Alaide and Adoawaye constitute Sultry's immediate neighbors. The benefits of the profound breakthroughs made by Sultry in its agri-business undertakings, courtesy of CACS, and which you and the Economy showcased in a previous edition of the program, have rubbed off significantly on the company's host communities. Worthy of note is the fact that, as a result of the tax holiday component of the offerings of CACS, Sultry was able to pull together appreciable volume of financial resources that it committed to developing a robust corporate social responsibility program, which it implemented for the benefit of both Alaide and Adoawaye as well as other neighboring communities. Whereas when Sultry moved into its location in 2013, Alaide village was like the typical unknown rural community. Today, the multiplier effect of hosting Sultry has impacted positively on the village and given it relative prominence. Alaide, which you and the Economy gathered, comprised less than 5 residential mud huts over a decade ago, now has additional number of homes and stores. It is noteworthy that quite a substantial number of these newly emerging structures are built with cement blocks and plastered with cement too. What's more, Alaide village, which was almost always laid back in the pre-Sultry era, now most often wears an air of vibrancy. Pa Busari Kasali is a community leader in Alaide village. He recalls that when the founder of Sultry approached the village for land to undertake her agri-business, the community had insisted that one core condition must be fulfilled before the request could be granted. And the condition was that, besides establishing a farm at Alaide, Sultry must equally set up an industry to complement the farm. Pa Kasali He expressed appreciation that the condition was met and the entire community has been reaping the benefits of hosting Sultry. Here Pa Kasali speak on how Sultry has impacted Alaide positively.
The establishment of Sultry boosted farming not only in Alaide and Ado-Awaye, but also in Oyo State. With Sultry, our farmers now have an outlet to sell their cassava harvest without traveling far to be able to do so. Sultry also made available to us tractors that help us to clear land for our farmers to farm, especially those farmers who cannot afford land clearing, and they are quite many. Those who are indigent are also helped with the provision of fertilizer. Sultry set up a credit scheme whereby the farmers that are assisted pay with proceeds of their harvest. This has empowered our people to farm, and we are all satisfied and happy. When the founder of the company came to the village and saw that we were drinking water from the well, she directed that 2 boreholes be sunk for us to provide water for the community. After, she connected our company to the national grid for power supply. She extended the power lines to us in the village, and we now enjoy the privilege of having electricity supply in the village. In summary, Sultry developed our community.
The blessings that come with hosting a big company are also already being enjoyed too by the people of the much bigger Ado-Awaye. Indeed, the consensus in Ado-Awaye is that the positive transformations experienced in the community as a result of the robust corporate social responsibility program of Sultry could probably not have happened if not for the support that the CBN offered to Sultry, which greatly boosted the business it is conducting in their community. His Royal Majesty Oba Ademola Olugbile Folakomi is the Alado of Ado-Awaye and the paramount traditional ruler of the Araromi community, where both Ado-Awaye and Sultry are located. Oba Folakomi pays tribute to both the CBN and Sultry for promoting community development in his domain.
Incidentally, I'm a banker by profession. So, CBN is my industry, my mother industry. And I'm proud that they are doing the best that have been entrusted in them, especially by lifting rural development like we have them doing with Sultry. So I want to appreciate CBN for intervening, for this intervention in lifting Sultry. Indirectly, they are lifting Ado-Awaye. If you go to any newly developed areas in Ado-Awaye today, in other communities today, and you get 20 buildings there, 10 will be from customers of Sultry's. If you see 50 cars in Ado-Awaye today, half of it will be from customers of Sultry's. Most of parents who could not afford sending their children to school since Sultry came, because of the interactions, the business transaction between them and Sultry, most of them are now able to afford sending their children to schools. So I want to categorically say that Sultry has really developed Ado-Awaye community.
Oluyemisi Ironloye, founder and chief executive officer of Sultry, acknowledges that her company's CSR program has impacted its neighbors immensely. Ironloye, however, believes that Sultry owes its ability to register positive influences on the lives and livelihoods of people in its surroundings to the CBN.
When we got here some 12 years ago, this place was forest. No road here, no power here, no, I mean, everywhere was forest. Nothing. The closest village to us had just 3 huts, and they're the one that sold the land to us. So they were looking up to us. Every year we do one CSR program or the other within this community. It's like a percentage of our profit is dedicated to developing the community. We cannot grow in isolation. The society providing the cassava must grow with us. So a percentage of our profit was going into developing livelihood of the communities around us. The village that gave us this land today, they have power. We have given them power. They have boreholes. We have given them 2 boreholes so far. Today, most children around here now go all the way to Iseyin, to school, because the farmers can afford it. The livelihood of this place have really, the GDP of this environment have increased. We would not have been able to do all of this if not because intervention came and it was a lower interest rate. And so it was easier for us to develop the farmers' lives as we were developing our own life. We would never have been able to do this if not for the Anchor Brass scheme and the CACS program of the CBN. So we can't thank them enough. Thousands of lives have been transformed by just this kind gesture of giving us this opportunity of the intervention fund.
I welcome you back once again and hope you enjoyed today's double-header edition of You and the Economy. But that is how far we can go in today's edition of the program. Please join us again next week when we bring you another exciting edition of the program. See you then. Goodbye.